First 100s in our 10-day forecast also tracking an increase in our fire risk. I'm ABC 10 Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods, and just as soon as we welcome the unofficial start to summer, we've got those 100s back in the outlook. Now, the weather pattern unfolds like this. We initially see a little bump in our temperatures later this week under this ridge of high pressure. We'll see sinking, warming air, also some gusty winds that will start to bump up that fire danger. Dry conditions, low relative humidity, and so our fuels, especially down low, are drying rather quickly. We really have been graced with a nice onshore flow the past couple of days that have kept us in the 80s. Showers and thunderstorms remaining east of the crest for today. So we really have been seeing a nice little weather pattern flowing off the Pacific with some weather systems that have been bringing some showers through the Pacific Northwest. Locally, what we've been finding, though, is a nice onshore flow and that cooling Pacific breeze. Still have that heading into our Tuesday evening at about 10 to 15 miles per hour coming in off the Pacific. That nice southwest flow keeps the humidity a little bit higher as well as the temperatures a little bit lower. But all of that starts to change with our gusty conditions developing as soon as Wednesday evening through early Thursday. That will initially elevate our fire danger throughout much of the valley and parts of the coastal valley community. Next week, though, we start to see our first widespread 100s in the outlook. First, let's get to those gusty winds that are going to develop overnight Wednesday into early Thursday, especially on the west side of the valley, where those wind gusts will be closer to about 30 to 31 miles per hour. Most of that will be a short duration event, so we'll start to see those calming conditions during the day on Thursday, but you just need a little taste of those north winds to really start drying out those fuels, and that's what's going to drive up this fire potential, especially into our Thursday with a moderate risk, warmer temperatures, occasional gusty winds, and low humidity throughout the Sacramento Valley. Some other surrounding areas, including the northern San Joaquin Valley and parts of the coastal region, will see some lower risk. But all in all, this is the time of year that we just have to really exercise some serious fire behavior and risk modifications. As far as our fuels drying in the valley, you can see this blue line right here is going to illustrate where we are right now. Now, the green is going to show the forecast, and it is starting to bump up into a category that showcases a little bit more of a risk for faster fire spread. We're not necessarily near the record dryness, which is indicated in this red line, but nonetheless, we're starting to move our way northward here for our energy release component, just showing how much energy is available for that fire risk. Our statewide precipitation is going to sit here pretty much status quo until we get through much of the summer months. We're not going to see any big jumps here because we're now starting to enter into that time of year where everything dries out. So what we have is what we get all the way through the end of the water year, September 30th of this year. Of course, it started last year on October 1st. Now, in terms of what kind of water is left over from that Sierra snowpack, we're at about 82% of average for the northern Sierra. So there's still a little bit of snow to melt down the hill. Central Sierra 42, and then for the Southern Sierra, average to date is 32%. We're going to start to see much of that melting down, especially with some of these upcoming warmer weather events. Our statewide average to date is at 48%. Not bad considering last year was so wet, but the other hazard that is posed with some of the snow still yet to melt is it is going to enter a lot of our waterways, resulting in very cold flows. All of it continues to move into our reservoirs and then eventually into downtown Sacramento and out towards the Delta. Water managers will continue to kind of move that water through our system and even send some of it southward into some of the drier areas. But again, one of the hazards that remain is because we still have some snow to melt down, the rivers are going to be cold, high, and fast. We've already, unfortunately, had to report on 2 deaths because of some swimmers just getting caught in a situation that they just could not manage. Sacramento River right now is at 66 degrees, American River 54, San Joaquin 68, Tuolumne at LaGrange 54. And if you're doing any hiking up in the Sierra and the foothills, be prepared for some colder waters in the lower 30s to right around the mid 50s, and our Lake Tahoe water temperature at 52. By the way, the Lake Tahoe, it is full this year. Haven't seen that in several years. So nice to see Lake Tahoe full after another good water year for us. Water temperatures, when we talk about the cold being so dangerous, is because when those water temperatures are below 77 degrees, your breathing can be affected. Once we get into that 60 to 70 degree range, it can be difficult to breathe. And then when we're in the 50 to 60 degree mark, that's when we begin to lose control of our limbs, and total loss of control of limbs below 40 degrees. And it just doesn't take long. You think the water looks okay, calm-wise, but then the water temperature can really catch people off guard. Now, in terms of our reservoir levels, we're still looking really good. We had above average last year. This year, somebody described it as unusually average, because we just never see average, it feels like, in California. But all that being said, things are pretty close to average as well for many of our reservoirs for our average to date, and pretty full, close to about 90 to almost 100% full for many of our reservoirs. This is going to be our holding space for all that water that will take us through some of these dry months. As far as releases happening, this is out at Folsom Lake. You can see water managers allowing that to rise. Here's our capacity right here. And so you can see no bathtub rings throughout many of our reservoirs. We're above average, noted in this teal space right here. Another great year for many of our reservoirs, which will also help the environment and recreation. We'll be able to hopefully enjoy many of our waterways throughout the dry summer months. Average rainfall drops off dramatically from May into June. We only get about 1/4 of an inch for the month of June in total. And then for July, generally, we don't get anything. August, about 2/100ths of an inch of rain. It's not until September into October that we start to see things picking up once again. Average temperatures, conversely, will start to go up. So for the month of June, our average temperature is right around 74 degrees. That'll be a jump up from the 67.7 degree average temperature in May. And of course, July, August tend to be our hottest months. Now we're going to get a taste of that July, August heat here. For the end of the work week and school week, we'll start to see above average temperatures. It's just going to be a hint of what's to come next week when we get into some of that bigger heat. We'll get a little bit of relief over the weekend. Not much. We're still going to be above average, but it will be on the cooler side. For the month of May, we've already started to see more above average temperatures than below average. This was a little bit different than last May, where we largely had some near average conditions, if not slightly below. Our average first day of 90-degree temperatures is May 2nd. By May 21st, we start to see our first 95-degree days. And then June 5th is right about the first day that we have a 100-degree temperature for Sacramento. 105 around the corner, July 2nd. Just in time for July 4th. And then our first 110-degree day is typically July 21st. So what happened last year? We had to wait all the way until almost the end of June to see that first 100-degree day. But that being said, it was not just 100, it was 105 for downtown Sacramento and Stockton. 101 was our first 100-degree day for Modesto, Marysville 104, and Vacaville 101. So it was a quick jump from 80s and 90s right into those 100s. Our June climate last year, you can see, was a little bit on the cooler side. Our high averaged 85.8 degrees. Normally, we're closer to around 89 degrees. Our low was a little bit on the cool side. We didn't see much in the way of rain, but when we take a look at those records for the month of June, our hottest ever, 112 back in 1934 on June 30th. And the wettest, yes, we can see some rain, was under an inch of rain. That was back in 1993 on June 3rd, where we had 0.8 of an inch of rain. So as we dig deeper into this week, we're going to start to look at some of those weather risks, including the temperatures increasing on Wednesday. And of course, we talked about that elevated fire danger on Thursday because of the dry, gusty winds, as well as the heat. And then moderate heat risk will remain on Friday. We'll be cooler on Saturday, but still above average because our pattern isn't just completely flipping. We'll see breezy conditions into into our Thursday. That's going to relax somewhat into our Friday, but we'll still be under that ridge of high pressure. As a couple of weather systems pass to the north of us, that will once again get that onshore flow going Saturday into Sunday, bringing those temperatures down slightly. It's a good thing, too, because we're going to have to be prepared for what's to come next week and through what looks like potentially a trend that will hold through the middle of June with above average temperatures. In fact, the Climate Prediction Center also letting us know right through the Central Valley, we're in that moderate excessive heat risk zone June 6th through the 10th. We're going to be watching that one closely because it looks like we could be in for quite a stretch here. The average number of days with a high above 90 degrees is 88 for Sacramento, 95, 53, but we actually average about 23 days with 100+ degree temperatures and 6 days at 105 degrees and 1 day at 110. Now, there's certainly years where we have less or more, but we're right around the corner from the summer, or right before we turn the page to the summer solstice, 23 days away from the summer solstice and 37 from the 4th of July. Those are just kind of benchmarks for us where we know the heat is about ready to hit the Central Valley. So for the mountains, certainly going to stand out here will be that Friday forecast, 74 degrees. For the hills, if you're doing any camping, especially into the weekend forecast, just be prepared. Could see some really toasty conditions on Friday, a little bit better over the weekend. And for the coast, we're going to keep it in the 60s to right around 70. Now, our 10-day forecast, there's definitely going to be a standout here, and that's next Wednesday when it looks like we could see our first 100 of the year. Now, it could hit a little earlier on Tuesday. It's something we'll be watching. It's always, kind of some excitement, not necessarily really positive excitement when we hit that first 100, but just like the first rain of the year, the first 100 does bring a lot of conversation around it. If you enjoyed this in-depth forecast, be sure to download our ABC 10 app. We've got weather explainers, weather specials, including our new one, The Future of California's Water. You can watch it for free on Apple TV, Roku, and Fire TV.